Welcome to From the Ground Up with Esther. Today I'm very excited because I have two friends with me, Brittany and Stephanie. They own a dance studio in Port Chester, New York, and I am very excited to hear their story and how they started. I would like for Brittany and Stephanie to introduce themselves and just share with us a little bit about you.
Hi, Brittany. Um, and I have I think I met Stephanie almost 12 years ago. We've been friends since the day we met. I think we bonded over two things, and that's what really brought this all together: our faith and to dance. I've been dancing since I was 2, and my preferred style is hip hop, but I love all the other genres, and I love music, and I love teaching our kids at the studio. I've been teaching for, I guess 12 years too, from ages 3 through adults in styles hip hop, jazz, ballet, salsa, tap.
Hi, my name is Stephanie Knox Alcina, and I met Brittany, as she said, because we actually met in church, and I was leading a dance ministry at the time, and that's how we kind of met because we both love the Lord and we both love dance, and then our friendship developed. I was at a place in my life where I had already been teaching for about 15 years throughout Westchester, and I really wanted to branch out and do a business on my own with dance. And Brittany, God just kind of placed us in each other's path at the right time, I believe, because I come from more of a ballet and contemporary background and salsa, and I really don't teach hip hop in that genre, and it's hard to find good quality people who share the same faith and the same values as you in business. And so I really, I just told Brittany like I want to start a studio, and she was like, "Well, I work somewhere else right now, but I would love to, work at Jete as well." It's been like that ever since. So she's been, a part of Jete since day one, and then our friendship and business just grew from there. But I really believe that God just kind of placed us in each other's path for that reason. We didn't know at the time when we first became friends, but as He was leading me to branch off and do my own business, He led me into Brittany's path. So that was a wonderful blessing, because we work really well together, but I think it's because we have a mutual respect for each other, mutual values, and we both want to succeed, not just for each other, but to be blessings to other people in our lives. So
That's great.
yeah.
So you said you always loved dancing, Brittany. Can you take us a little back on what you were doing before this? I have the chance to be friends with Brittany for about a year, and I can attest and hear Brittany speaking very lovely of her students and the families that come into your dance studio. You guys really do a great job in pouring your heart to this young generation of dancers. So how you say you always love dance. What was your growing up? What was this always your dream? And when you met Stephanie, how do you know this was the time for you guys to come together? If you can share more about that.
I think deep down, since I was 2, for some reason, I always knew I was going to dance somehow. Obviously, at that age, I didn't know, but my mom would tell me that anytime she played like the classical Cinderella and all of the musicals from our generation, I would always be dancing around the house, singing. And it's really ironic because I was a very shy child and very sensitive, which you feel like for dance, you have to be super, I guess, confident and kind of like in your face. But that wasn't who I was. I actually didn't really like attention, but I just love how music made me feel and how I could express that through dance. And so she placed me in a class at 2, and I took ballet for a few years, jazz, and then hip hop. And I loved all those styles, but I grew to really love hip hop. And I actually took a break from dancing. I was going through just a lot of emotional things with I guess just growing up as a teen, certain things in school with my family, my parents were divorced. So it just, a lot of little things made it difficult. And like I said, I was very sensitive. So branching out into activities to push myself was hard. So I took a break. But God, when He places a dream in you, like, and you're always seeking after God, you can't avoid it. So in college, I actually met a friend first that was a dancer, and we just also loved the Lord. And we just bonded over that. And that kind of just like started to turn the wheels and spark my interest again. So I started to assist in the studio that I grew up in for many years. And then I wanted to branch out other places, and in the dance industry and, you know, being an artist, it is hard to make a living, and you kind of want to have a firm foundation. So going around to a bunch of places becomes pretty stressful. And it's not the life you really want going forward if you want, you know, to have a family. And if you have big dreams for yourself, you know, you just want something pretty solid. So I met Stephanie at church and I joined the dance ministry, and that was amazing. And I was still discovering like what else to do. So I went to my pastor for guidance and I was telling him what I was going through. And this is the really cool part, how I knew like I was supposed to not only be her friend and be in the dance ministry with her, but also work with her. So and I didn't know her that well yet because we were just in church and in the dance ministry. And, you know, during that time, you can't really like really get to know people that well. But when you're surrounded in like a ministry, you start to see fruit here and there. So he was like, I was pouring my heart out to him, and the pastor was telling me, why don't you talk to Stephanie about doing something? And I was like, okay. And I was really young. I was only like 21. And so like I was like, I don't know if she wants to do this, but I just like put out feelers to her, like, you know, like, let me know. I'm looking to really pretty
Mm-hmm.
much hit the ground running. And so when she looked for a place and she told me, I was like, okay, this has to be the moment. And I was like at the part in my career where I was like, I either do something totally different and just leave it all behind, or I take this big leap of faith that this business is what God
Mm-hmm.
has intended for us. Yeah, I mean, God has His hand on it ever since, and I feel like He's been with us every
That's
step of the way.
awesome. I love that how God united you both to create this project, this dream that is blessing a lot of families in your area. Stephanie, how has it been working
Yes,
when
definitely.
Brittany approached you and working with her and just realizing that this was a dream in your heart to start your own business, and then him adding Brittany, who was also going through something in her life, being part of that dream of God in her life and to be a partner with her. How has that experience been?
Well, it's been wonderful and amazing. You know, before Jete, you know, I was in that I had gone through a lot of transitions in my life at that point too, right before Jete was opened. I remember spending, kid you not, maybe about a year in prayer before making a decision, because I was like, I did love where I taught. You know, I used to teach in another location, and I really loved the students and the place I taught at. I just wanted something more like Brittany. I wanted to create a future for my family. I was really focused on doing something better for my kids. And yeah, so I spent a lot of time praying about it, because I was at that stepping stone too, where either I completely switch careers and do something else, or I take this leap of faith and start a business and see what happens. And that's a really big decision to take, especially when you have a lot of factors involved. Like, I had two kids.
Yeah.
I have two kids that were depending on me to support them. I was a single mom at that time. I had just gone through a divorce. I was a single mom. It was probably the worst time to ever start a business,
Yeah.
you know, being, you know, going through all that and having two young children. But it was also all God, because, you know, he's not looking at it the perfect time frame, I feel like, you know. So I spent about
Wow.
almost a year just praying and just being like, I don't want to do a decision. I don't want to do a move that's gonna, you know, be very devastating to my family. And yeah, so first, I did a lot of prayer on it, for direction. And then when I really, really felt it strong in my heart, that's when I started taking some action, looking for places, getting me and Brittany had just connected. I actually started praying for this before I even spoke to Brittany. Didn't even
Hmm.
know she was looking to branch out from where she was. And I already was praying about something. And I really, truly felt like we were both praying and didn't know we were both looking for something, but God really led us in that pathway. So then when I approached her, I said, "Hey, I'm really looking to branch
Hmm.
off and do a business." And she was like, "I will be there.
Hmm.
I'll join you." Yeah. So that's kind of, and then just, taking step by step. And it's really been like a huge, huge learning process. I mean, this is about almost completing 8 years. And I got to say, every single year, every single month, we're learning something new. But the good thing is that through these 8 years so far, we have
Hmm.
we've learned together, meaning like we've made mistakes together, whether it's, we've made mistakes together. We've picked ourselves up from the dust of things that didn't work out. We've had to change things, or rearrange things. And, that takes a person who's mature enough and faith filled to, like, not leave when, something not grand works out, because, you're going to go through challenges. And even like COVID, when COVID had that year of COVID, that was a
Yes,
huge
yes.
challenge for us. But we made it through it. We prayed. We've always made it through all the challenges and obstacles, and we know there's always going to be more that, because that's just life. But I think being in business with somebody who has the same like mind as you, like, okay, we learn from it, we grow from it, we pray about it, and we try to make the best decisions that the Holy Spirit leads us
Yeah,
into.
yeah,
And,
I love that.
you know,
You know what I love most about both of you guys, and it's the industry that you're in, right? Because you're going in this industry that has so many messages in terms of music and the kind of dances that are out there, right? But having the opportunity to get into this industry of music and dance and pour into the life of children, being a believer, and like you said, you pray for a year, that is just amazing how God works and how he brought both of you together. I'm sure there are any, but as being a believer coming from a Christian perspective, were there any challenges in that area, or what has been one of the challenges you have faced the most, and how have you overcome that?
Stephanie knows why I'm laughing because I feel like, I mean, the beginning is always a little challenging, but we had our feet in other, like we both still had to work other jobs. So that of course is challenging. And then
Hmm.
Stephanie has a family. So, but this year has really tested us to the max, I think. And of course, Esther, you know why, like I'm going through a health situation. Um, that God is, taking me through. So it's all good. And then as we're expanding, there's always going to be like things that we have to learn and work through, whether it's like employees or revamping our our scale of classes and finances. I think it just everything compiled this year. But I mean, I think God gave us a lot of grace and he really helped us manage through because we're 3 weeks into the season ending and I'm like, wow, this was a year for the books, but we're making it through.
mhm.
Praise God.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think that one of the most common things that Brittany and I have in common is the fact that
Hmm.
we make it through. Like, we have the faith to make it through. It's not to say these 8 years have been easy by any far. They've definitely had their blessings for sure. I mean, one of the biggest blessing is having a great impact on
Hmm.
some of these kids and
Mm.
families. I mean, I think that's really the reason why we do what we do and why God put that in our heart, because we want to be a blessing to other
Hmm.
families and kids, right? I mean, we should love what we do and use the gift that God's given us. Well, God's given us this gift of the art of dance, and the passion for it, so we're blessed to be able to do that. And I think even though we go through certain challenges or maybe like seasons of difficulty, we both have that attitude of we're going to make it through, and let's see how we're going to make it through. And we encourage each other. First couple years were hard financially, very hard. It's not
Mm-hmm.
easy starting a business. It's not easy starting a business when you don't have
Mm-hmm.
funders and people behind you, and that's it's all you're doing. Then of course we started to do, our business was going up, and then COVID hit, and like just like all the other businesses, we had to be creative and figure out ways of making sure that the
Mm-hmm.
business survived. And it did, and we're super thankful, and praise the
Mm-hmm.
Lord for that. And then of course, along the ways, we learn things of different processes of from employees to how finances play a big role in marketing and advertising and software. I mean, it's really been a huge learning, and even I feel like we're both open learners. We're both very interested in always learning. And I think that's one of the things you have to do in business, because things are
Mm-hmm.
always changing. So you have to be adaptable, you have to be open to learning, and you have to have the mindset that when a challenge does come up, because it will, no
Mm-hmm.
matter what business you're in, that first you seek God and you don't get upset by it, but you pray and seek solutions, or the way to get through the
Yes.
challenge.
Yes, that's important.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the good thing, like we said before, that you both are like you said, teach. I guess the word will be teachable. You're both teachable, right? Learning from each other and being able to have
Mm-hmm.
communication.
Yeah.
Because, like you said, 8 years is,
Yeah.
you guys have endured a long time. 8 years, I think it's a good amount of time, and you've seen a lot of things, like COVID. How was, you already mentioned it, but can you maybe go a little bit in detail during that season? Because it was hard for everybody, but you as a business, how were you able to stay afloat?
Well, I'll talk on the financial side of it, of just like some businesses, that we did get a little bit of help, but not much. I think it only covered
Mm-hmm.
a few weeks of expenses, of business expenses, because we were still considered a small business. The smaller businesses did not get a lot of help. So we really, and the blessing of it all, I will say this, is that during that time, the little bit of help didn't get us through all of COVID, but I had already saved up some funds, which helped a little bit more. And then to make up the extra amount to get us through the hump, we did Zoom classes, which Brittany can speak more on in a minute. And we figured out creative ways of like trying to make money. And then we also came back in the summer of that year of COVID, but late summer, when businesses were allowed to return. And we figured out how to reduce our classes size and make people spaced out. And we invested in the HEPA air filter. There was a lot of changes that we had to do during that time to bring back our business. And then we had to rebuild business even once business was rolling. It was a rebuilding time, but I'm thankful that we both went through it, and we kind of prayed and thought about creative ways of surviving. Right, Brittany, with Zoom, you want to talk about?
Yeah, Zoom is an interesting time, I think, for any dancer, dance teacher, or probably teacher in the school system. I couldn't believe that that was the avenue that we were going down. I mean, it's pretty cool how you have to adapt, and we have the
Mm-hmm.
technology to do that. So that was pretty amazing. But also children's attention span, and it for dance, you definitely need the in-person physical lesson unless they like really 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 want to be there and learn
Mm-hmm.
dance. There were some that were like, oh yeah, I'm in it, I'm here, like I'm on Zoom and I'm ready for this. But it was hard for some of the kids, and that was just how it was. Then coming back in person was also different, because now you
Mm-hmm.
had to wear a mask while teaching dance. And as a dance teacher, you have to, well, for us, we love providing the best quality there is, and we go full out, which means we're going to dance hard. We're going to give you, what you paid for and beyond. So dancing and speaking and doing all the things with the mask was crazy, but we made it work because we do love what we do. And, God has blessed us with this wonderful opportunity. So, we have to be obedient through the trial, as I'm sure many other people, they fought for their business and for their life. So we believe in doing things with excellence. So regardless of the mask, that's what we were there to do. And I think it showed because we had families come back afterwards and for many years to come, loyal families and then new families. So I think it showed and it was worth it. And
Yeah.
yeah.
Can you now talk a little bit of what are you guys looking forward to for the studio, and what are you focusing on now in this season with your students, and maybe tell us about what kind of classes you guys have, the ages that you guys teach.
Yeah. So I teach, like I said, I teach 3-year-olds. I was teaching adults, but not as much. So I go up through the teens, hip hop. I was teaching ballet, but more so this year, salsa, jazz. And we have been basically in school, seems like school. We're learning a lot of high tech equipment to make the business end run smoother and more so kind of run itself, which is amazing with all the technology, like I said, improving. We're trying to have automated emails, messages go out to parents and families because we've just been physically doing it all. And so with this technology and programs and software that we're learning, it's going to make payments faster and more convenient for the families, having a better quality system so that they can do things efficiently and a little more independently for them. And then we will have more time to work on other projects and ideas. We have company dancers in our studio, and these are students that really love dance, are dedicating hours to dance in the studio. They take multiple classes. Some girls take like 8 classes a week, 9 classes a week, and they really love it. And so we provide them with the opportunity to enhance their dance experience by performing locally, whether it's in the Westchester Children's Museum. We've gone to Disney World, and we just started going to competitions. And so we're opening that up this following year to those who want to do it. We don't like to push it because competition is pretty strict and rigorous. And so we just want them to want it for themselves. And we don't like to force anything upon anybody. So those who want to do it are going to participate in competitions, which is a pretty fun experience too. They had a great time this year. And we're looking forward to traveling again somewhere pretty big in our 10th year. So that's pretty fun to look forward to as well. I don't know if we should reveal it yet, but
No, you can keep it.
it'll be a good place.
Keep it a surprise.
Yeah, it's a surprise. It's a surprise for our 10 year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would say our biggest goals for this next season would be, to sum that up, what Brittany said is one, improving our technology skills as far as which will help with communication. Like we are trying to make our communication between our families seamless and easy, as well as our teachers. So we're really trying to put new systems in place that will make it easier for our families, but also easier for communication with our staff. So I feel like one of our biggest things is improving our technology, our softwares, having a seamless communication or better communication with anything that's going on at the studio and with the students and how they're doing and all the different opportunities that they can have through the studio, just communication in general. And then with our dancers, allowing them opportunities, different types of opportunities, like Brittany said, whether it's dancing in a competition or performing in an outside venue as an outreach project, just offering opportunities, improving our software, and trying to gain a stronger communication with families and staff so that it makes it even more enjoyable, less stressful and more enjoyable for
Yes,
everybody,
because as you
staff
grow,
and
you need more
families.
of that technology to help you, right? Everything right now, it's technology, everything. People like everything fast and easy. So you want to,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, you want,
Exactly. Yeah. You have to
mm-hmm,
constantly keep up with time. You have to keep up with the time. And when things change or people want things at a more easier convenience, like our new registration system, they don't want to wait for an email from you to give them
mm-hmm,
a link, then to fill out a form, then another link to pay.
mm-hmm.
They want everything very easy and convenient. And then they want clear communication. With all the new softwares, we're putting into place right now, and we're still working on a lot of the capabilities of these programs. It will make our communication and just the enjoyment of the process of, whether they're a family in the studio or if it's even between staff,
Yes,
like a lot more enjoyable.
yeah, that's important.
Can't wait to get it up
I
and running.
know. I've had the
Yeah.
chance to be with you girls at your studio, helping out a little bit. It was a fun experience for me. It is. I mean, I'm gonna be there next time soon, and it's just been sweet to see all of what you guys do. Can you give me what both of you, if you can share, what is it that you have learned from the children that you teach? What is one lesson that all of this whole experience and that you have learned from the young generation that you teach?
I can
Just one
start.
lesson.
I can tell you my biggest lesson.
Excuse me.
I can tell you. I mean, when you said that,
Mm-hmm.
it already comes to my mind. The biggest lesson I have learned from all of these kids, I mean, they all teach you something different, but the one thing that really sticks true to my heart is to be in the moment, to just be in the moment of where God placed you. Because honestly, it's my 3-year-olds, the littlest of the dancers, who have taught me the biggest lesson. They have not a care in the world, they don't come in stressed out. They are not in school. They're not they're little. They have no care in the world. They just want to go in there. They want to express themselves and be in the moment. We forget as we get older and older that you can be in the moment and really enjoy what you're doing. And they've really taught me that's why I actually really enjoy the little ones. I enjoy every age, but they have such a pure heart that their heart when they come in is just, I just want to be here to dance. And they've taught me to try to be in the moment and just focus in on what I'm doing at that moment with them and what I'm teaching, and just allow that joy to be in the room at the time, not to stress about the office work that I have to get done later on in the day or the family I have to come home and figure out food for. They've just taught me how to be in the moment. So I think that's one of my biggest
Yeah,
lessons I've learned
yeah.
from kids.
That is a good one. That is very true. Man, one lesson that's very hard. I feel like there's too many or so many that I enjoy actually. But I think recently, mostly with my teens, but I feel like it really could apply to any age group. They really want to feel safe and they want you to feel secure in who you are because they're looking to feel secure in who they are. And without somebody leading them through that, they don't feel that comfort
Mm-hmm.
and that safety in the classroom or in life. And I feel like it can be hard in the world,
Mm-hmm.
and even as a Christian, you're always tempted to maybe I should try this trends, maybe this, maybe that. And especially with like music, I think being a Christian and teaching hip hop is pretty interesting. I am I'm always feeling like the battle between like, okay, how can I do something really cool, really great with them, but still stay true to who I am and to represent God in the best way. And I think I've learned a lot along the way on how to do that and showing them like, this is who I am and I'm confident about this. And it may not be the newest hit that you heard on the radio. This
Mm-hmm.
is what I value and I want you to see this. And I've learned that they appreciate it because they're like she's not afraid to be herself. So I don't have to be afraid to be me. And I can see that they started to build their confidence along the way. And they just need more people to lead them in that security and that firm foundation that, you know, you need to stand upon the rock, and you need to stand upon your values, and it's okay. You might be the only one, but if you stay true, then there's going to be that God is just gonna he's just gonna see you, and he's gonna make you feel secure, and that's all that matters.
That's good. I think during this time, especially, like you said, being in this industry and the type of music that it's out there, right? That sometimes is not the best one that we don't want kids to be listening to for you to have that ability and that grace to come into their lives and just be yourself and show them who you are and not be afraid, so they can also get that assurance and say, I can be myself too in this dance studio, and then go out there and still be myself with my friends at that age. I think that's very important. So
Yeah.
that is great to hear. And what is one advice that you both of you will give to someone like you girls, like you were praying for a business, Stephanie, and direction, and God brought you both together. What is an advice that you'll give to someone with dreams like that too and doesn't know what to do at the moment?
That's good. I mean, number one thing I would say is prayer, and don't put a time frame on prayer.
Mm.
You can't put a time on prayer. You can't say, I'm going to pray for 2 days and I have to have my answer by the third day. God doesn't work like that. If you've been Christian long enough in faith, you know that whether you're praying for what to do next with a career or business, or whether you're praying for healing, we know it. If you're praying for miracles or signs or wonders or direction, it's in God's time frame. So I would say the number one thing is to realize it's not your time frame, it's God's, and you have to have patience. And I know patience is really hard for a lot of people. It's still something I learn each day. I'm trying to grow in more patience. But prayer is number one, and like I said, don't put a time frame on it. You could get your answer in a 24 hours, it could take a year, it
Yes.
could take a year and a half. I feel like when you do kind of really know, it's like that still small voice that keeps on telling you and keeps on telling you and keeps on telling you, you'll feel it in your spirit, you'll feel it in your heart. And when you finally feel the answer or the direction, and then you go with all of your faith and, prayer is number one, and have the patience and the time and to wait on the Lord. It doesn't mean you don't sit still and do nothing. You could still be working on thoughts towards that and the direction, but it's really praying for the right direction or the right pathway and allowing him
Yes,
to tell you.
that's good.
Yeah, I agree. So what came to mind is to seek, and so that's pretty much the same thing, is to seek God in prayer. I think you should definitely have someone or a group of wise counsel, whether it's I definitely think it should be people older than you, and I definitely think you should have good godly friendships. But I know that there is a line between sharing your dreams with people, and then sometimes if you share too much, there's like this line between like getting the advice that you need, but also some people might try to crush your dreams. And so that's why it's important to take it to the Lord first, know his word, because then you'll be able to hear his voice, whether you should go this way, you should go that way, don't do this, do that. So I think that's
Good
important.
advice. Yeah, I always think of the story of Joseph when you say that. Joseph, he had that dream and he went ahead and shared with his brothers, and they were not happy for him.
Right.
And then the brothers said some things that were not nice. And you know this end of the story if you read the story in Genesis. But sometimes even if it's people that we care about and we love, sometimes we have to be careful in sharing until it's okay, right? It's not even their fault sometimes. Sometimes it's our fault for not being wise enough. We share out of time. Well, I'm
Yeah.
so happy I got to learn a little bit about the background and your story of Jete Studios, dance studios in Port Chester. So I'm very excited to see what's coming this summer. I know you have a recital coming up, right? So that is very exciting. Yeah.
Yes, pray for us.
I'll be praying for you. Yeah, I was able to be there
Thank you.
in one of them a little while ago, and it was very fun. I'm excited for this one that's coming up. Yeah, where can they find you? What is your
Okay.
address, your social media?
We are 114 Pearl Street, suite number 1B for boy or Brittany, Port Chester, New York. And our social media on Instagram is at Jete Dance Studio.
Is there
Yeah.
anything else you would like to say to your maybe future students, with your families that would like to come?
No, just, sometimes people say dance is not for them, or I don't know if I can dance, or I'm too shy, or I've got two left feet. I mean, we've heard
I
we've
say that.
heard so many different statements over the years, but we just tell people like come with just an open mind. Like you can come try a class. A lot of people say they have two left feet. They actually really enjoy dance and they have natural rhythm. But, we're not a pressuring studio. We like to keep the atmosphere friendly and full of joy. And it doesn't, to come try a class shouldn't feel like so much pressure and stress. It should be stress
Hmm.
relieving, not stressful.
Yeah.
So, we always tell people you try it, you don't like it. If it's really not for
Hmm.
you, that doesn't offend us, but at least you come and try it. And then if you love it, then hey, you discovered another way of
Hmm.
enjoying something in
Yes,
your life.
that's good. I will take that advice because I always say I have two left feet, but I've been getting there.
Yeah, no, we've heard that.
So you actually don't. I've seen you dance. You really don't.
And by the way, I don't think God makes that
That's
many
true.
people with two left feet.
See,
I think we
I'm
all have a left
wrong.
and a right, but just in the natural. Just letting you know. I mean, there might be someone out there
Maybe.
with two left feet, so if that's you, you could still dance, but
Yeah, yeah. Well,
you know.
We're here to provide the knowledge of dance and for a really fun
that's
experience. No
good. I
pressure.
like that.
That's
Well, I'm
it.
excited for you guys, and I hope that this new season brings all the things that you guys are praying for and dreaming about. So I'm excited to see what God has for you in this journey of dance and your studio. Right? Thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
joining me.
Thank you so
I'll
much.
talk to you guys soon. Bye, everyone. Thank you so much.
Yes,
Bye.
thanks, Esther.
Okay. Bye.
Don't leave.